He wasn't abducted. He's an MS-13 gang member, classified as a terrorist that was removed from this country. And I'm just disgusted that any congressional representative is going to run to El Salvador at his age.
Yes, Tom Homan, the border czar, who's interested in controlling our border. And unlike the Democrats, he doesn't want the open border to be a gateway for illegal alien gangs from all over the world because he wants to reduce crime. Crazy as that might sound. They love Kilmore Abrego Garcia. The whole Democrat Party. They want to dance with him late at night. Why do you think they call him Kilmore? Salvadoran MS-13 gang member, beater of baby mamas, marrier in prison of baby mamas. He's the hero of the story, according to Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen, who went to El Salvador to try to liberate him. Did he bring a gun? Was he planning on doing a breakout? Because these people. A very good Thursday, too, and welcome back once again. I still don't know what's wrong with the Democrat Party, but the Democrats are fighting against civilization. Every time you look up, they're on the wrong side of everything. They love a Luigi Mangione. You see a Luigi Mangione? It's talking about the possibility of a death sentence for Luigi Mangione since he targeted and assassinated a harmless father of two, a husband on the sidewalks of New York, targeted and assassinated by Luigi Mangione. And turns out, the Democrats, they love Luigi Mangione. He's raised more, thanks to Democrats, more than $900,000, more than $900,000, every donation from a Democrat. And they had a couple of big donors just in the last couple of days, $23,000 from one, $20,000 from another, because, oh no, he might face the death penalty and I want to date him. Turns out we also learned that in his free time, what did he do, Michael? He made porn movies. Which is going to make the Democrats even hotter because they're really demented. They've got a lot of issues, the Democrat Party. We have an open line for Democrats today. The open line for Democrats is 888-630-9625. Got to do it slower because you want the Democrats to call in. But remarkable stuff. We had the mother of murdered Maryland mother of five, Rachel Morin. The mother of Rachel Morin was at the White House yesterday. And had a few choice words for Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen, the mother and her now-deceased daughter from Maryland, and Chris Van Hollen from Maryland. He's trying to free MS-13 gang members from a prison in El Salvador, and now we've learned more about about Luigi Mangione and the Democrats, their love affair with him. They're not well. We've learned more about, and the news media, too. The Rachel Morin's mother had a few things to say about Chris Van Hollen, Senator Chris Van Hollen, the Democrat from Maryland. Democrat, did I mention he's a Democrat? Who flew to El Salvador, and I think he pronounces it El Salvador. And then they say that people are El Salvadorian. No, they're just Salvadoran. They're not El Salvadorian, you dim-witted mental cases with gender issues, but they're quite remarkable. But Patty Morin, the mother of Rachel Morin, at the White House yesterday, if she ever voted Democrat, I don't think she's going to do that again. Chris Van Hollen trying to free another MS-13 member who has not yet been convicted of murder in the United States, but Chris Van Hollen wants to change that. Remarkable stuff. And, what do you hear about the updates? And also was their hero, bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia, was he a human trafficker? Because there was a traffic stop several years ago now in Tennessee where he was carrying 7 individuals from Texas, bringing them to Maryland when he was pulled over. and the police ran it by the FBI during Joe Biden's FBI period. And the FBI said, oh, no, let him go. We want more murder in the United States because our Democrats are our bosses. So we've got that going today. Update. And Abrego Garcia's wife, she's got some issues because she filed a restraining order after she said that he beat her. And now she says, oh, but I really like him, and he's really a good father. And he's the father of the year in Maryland for the Democrats. They're going to give him a lucite block with his name on it, with Father of the Year. They're not on the side of civilization. And if you're a Democrat, remember the open line for you today is 888-630-9625. That's just winding down there, falling out of my chair because you start talking to the left today. Amazing stuff. So, and CNN is very excited. They love Abrego Garcia. They were just calling him Garcia the other day. Now they're calling him Abrego Garcia. Abrego Garcia's wife responds to Trump administration publicizing civil protective order filing from 2021. CNN just skips over the fact that she filed a restraining order because she said that he beat her and left her bruised and purple eye, black eye, and bloodied. And now she's like, but I still want to. She's a Democrat, so she still wants to shack up with him because she doesn't learn. She's not a good learner. But the wife, who's a new hero of the Democrat Party, too, of the Maryland man. CNN calls him the Maryland man. They love the Maryland man thing, don't they? And they're going to run him for office, too. All these people are going to run for office. Abrego Garcia may end up being the vice chair of the DNC because the Democrat Party loves violence and firebombing, the Jewish governor's house because the mad bomber, and this is not in any of the reports. You see the ABC News headline. There's ABC News headline about the mad Democrat firebomber of the Jewish governor's house in Pennsylvania. And the ABC News headline tells you that the mad bomber wrote negatively online about Democrats. And that's it. It doesn't tell you that he also wrote negatively online about Republicans and about Donald Trump, and that he's and about capitalism because he's anti-capitalist and he's a communist, and also they leave out the fact that he firebombed the place because the Jewish governor was too pro-Israel, and this guy is one of these frothy firebombing anti-Israel, death camp guys. That means he's a Democrat in good standing. Remarkable stuff. So Kilmar Abrego, it's pronounced Kilmore though. Kilmore Abrego Garcia. His wife, who also has three names, Jennifer Vasquez Sura. She came to the Department of Homeland Security and posted on X, a copy of the Department of Homeland Security posted on X a protective order that Jennifer Vasquez Sura, requested, that is to say, filed petition for against her husband. I think that was before. And the news media, they get everything wrong. They just call him a Maryland man. He's an El Salvador man. And that against her husband, he was just the baby daddy at the time that he was beating her. That was before they were married, in prison. And was he human trafficking when he was driving to Maryland with 7 people in the vehicle? Because these are important questions, and the news media loves avoiding them. In fact, the wonderful people at the Media Research Center and Newsmax, Newsbusters, too many newses, and Newsbusters, they put together a great collection of what the Democrats and the media have done, and it's pretty appalling, I've got to say. The media, the Democrat media, Democrat-controlled media, they gave a lot of coverage to their boy, Abrego Garcia, the MS-13 human trafficker, baby mama beater, and he's the hero of the story. And Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen, he wants to put his life on the line to bring gang members into the United States because his brain, she's a broke. she's a no good, that brain of his. That's not a good one. And pretty amazing stuff. They're on the wrong side of everything, the Democrat Party. And we've got a lot of updates. Now, the news media, again, the great people at Newsmax Media Research Center with a great summary of what the Democrats have done. That's the news media Democrats in burying the story that's not beneficial to the Democrat Party and playing up the story that just amazing people. Our news media, the most corrupt institution in America. Keep that in mind at all times. Got a lot more going on, too. President Trump yesterday at the White House meeting with Japanese representatives who were dispatched to the United States to work on new trade agreements and work on steadying our trade imbalance and creating more trade balance. President today also meeting with the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni. Remember her? She was the one that had to wave Joe Biden over when he wandered off the reservation at the G7 meeting in Italy. He wandered off like Walter Brennan and the Giorgia Meloni, who seems just great. She, Mr. President of the United States, maybe wander back here where all the world leaders are instead of wandering off where somebody parachuted a while ago, you dipstick. But Giorgia Meloni at the White House today to talk about trade with Europe and the EU, the European Union. That's after yesterday's meeting with Japanese officials who want to negotiate a trade deal. What was Joe Biden doing when he was president? He was getting up at 11, eating some porridge, and then watching an episode of Hazel before nodding off again because his brain, you talk about brains that are broke. We got a lot of brains that are broke. Democrat senator's trip to El Salvador to help bust out deported illegal was a disaster, is the headline at Town Hall. Wonderful organization, Town Hall. And the Huffington Post, radical lefties. U.S. Senator denied meeting with Abrego Garcia in El Salvador. And this is pretty funny. The maroon senator from Maryland went down to El Salvador, and the president of El Salvador is here in the United States, meeting with the adults. And the vice president down there told the dim-witted senator, no, you can't just walk into the prison and meet with anybody you want to meet with, so you should probably go back to the United States now. And the Democrats, I don't know who they're going to invade next, but in California is a breakaway republic at this point. They're going to fire on Fort Sumter. They missed the anniversary of them firing on Fort Sumter the other day, and the anniversary of them assassinating Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president. But never mind any of that. So the Trump administration is paying El Salvador's VP, explaining the Dem senator why the country is still jailing wrongly deported migrant. The radical left-wing extremists firebombing supporters at Mediaite. They love firebombing Jews' houses and Teslas and dealerships. And, you know, everybody's life is in danger. Donald Trump's life is in danger. Elon Musk's life is in danger. You know whose lives are not in danger? MS-13 gang members in the United States, because they have the backing of the Democrat Party, which may be the most violent organization in the United States, not MS-13, but the Democratic Party. And they just make stuff up with little partial quotations. The Trump administration is paying. That's the only part that's in quotation marks. El Salvador's VP, and it's just they're unbelievably corrupt. Well, maybe not unbelievably, but at least appallingly corrupt. Extraordinary stuff. And other House Democrats in the House of Representatives are now also, they are, hey, I'm going like this. The Democrats in the House are now trying to arrange a congressional delegation to El Salvador. They're looking for dates, I think, tattooed gang member dates, the Democrat Party. They want to bring them back to the United States and set them free. Yeah, this is amazing stuff, though. Kilmar Garcia was reportedly released by FBI after 2022 traffic stop, despite police suspecting him of human trafficking. Sure, what's the problem? They married in an ICE detention facility. Now they're fighting Trump after Maryland dad was wrongly deported to El Salvador. He's a Maryland dad. He didn't marry her until he was in legal trouble, and they married in prison. And that was after she filed a restraining order against him because she said that he beat her, including with a work boot and other things as well. And he's the hero of the Democrat Party. They're pounding the table. They're firebombing houses. They're going to El Salvador to try to get the gang member released, and they claim he's not a gang member. Womp, womp, womp. And the media's got the wife saying, oh, no, he's really nice, other than, this and that. And what do you hear about the news media coverage? They call him the Maryland dad. He's going to be the father of the year, Democrat Party father of the year. Kilmore Abrego Garcia. They're going to name an award after him. You don't want to know what you have to do to win the award, though.
Abrego Garcia will never be a Maryland father. He will never live in the United States of America again.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. There are great, wonderful American callers on the line. Democrats still terrified to call in because they might have to answer a question. Can't do that. Let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to the great Sylvie, calling from Waldorf, Maryland. Sylvie, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hola.
Hola, buenos dias.
Chris, it was so satisfying to see yesterday, somewhat satisfying to see in real time Senator Van Hollen's face under the Central American sun, getting sunburned, when in real time, simultaneously, the DOJ and the White House press secretary released all of the domestic violence documentation for the world to see. And I was watching Univision and Telemundo. As you know, I'm a big Univision Telemundo. And even they were mouth ajar, couldn't believe that this was coming out. But the intriguing part about this is that some of the local news here, especially News 4, they focus on the Prince George's County officer in the gang unit that made one of the arrests of Kilmore and how he has since been fired by the PG County Police because apparently, for misconduct, because he gave confidential information to a sex worker. What does that have to do with Kilmore?
You got to trash him.
Still happened.
You got to trash him. You got to. So the news media trashing a Prince George's County police officer because he was involved with their hero. Bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia. What do you see? What MSNBC is doing? And now the Democrat Party from Hillary Clinton on down. Really? It goes down from Hillary Clinton? I didn't realize that was possible. On MSDNC, they've got Democrat members of Congress, and Hillary Clinton's out there too, saying, oh no, if they can deport Kilmore Abrego Garcia, then they can deport MSNBC viewers. Only if they're illegal alien gang members who are a menace to the world. But Hillary Clinton out there, saying, if they can ship Kilmore Abrego Garcia to a foreign prison accused of no crime, with no trial, they can do it to anyone. They're just fantasizing again about what they would do if they were in charge, because they were attacking and using the FBI and the Justice Department to target all of their political enemies, the political enemies of the Democrat Party, like the communist rabble that they effectively are. Pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, and MSDNC, I've got audio for you coming up of Democrat members of Congress saying, oh, no, they can deport you because they want people burning mansions and cars and dealerships and shooting politicians, which they've got plenty going on. Ask Congressman Steve Scalise or Donald Trump or about the death threats coming in for Elon Musk. Even my dog hates Elon Musk. These people are mental. Now, I've got a call on the Jeff Wolf screening calls today, and great people, as is so often the case, and still no libs, right, Jeff? No libs, and I gave the number out very slowly so they could scratch it down in the dirt or something, and but still they don't call in to explain why they love Luigi Mangione and Alfredo Garcia over here. Sam Peckinpah movie. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Jay calling from Bel Air, Maryland. Jay, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Thanks for taking my call, Chris. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome.
The reason I said that is because my wife gets a kick out of that line every time, so I had to throw that one in there. And my wife and I are huge fans of yours for many years, and I'm the only conservative professor at American University, which I know is you're right. I think a mile or two away, aren't you?
I know that is wonderful. I mean, you sound like a great couple, living life to the fullest and bravely, and you're well informed and thirsty for information, and you have a great sense of humor, the both of you. So I'll look forward to having a cool beverage with you someday.
That would be terrific. We'd love that. So as the only conservative professor, and I've looked far and wide, and I just can't find another one on campus or at least anyone who's willing to admit it. Mm-hmm. I'm in the process now of being terminated from my job after teaching here for 17 years. You don't have time for all of my stories, or even a small percentage of them, quite frankly. But the majority of faculty have completely ignored me for many years, and it's as soon as I sort of came out of the closet as a conservative after working there for several years, things went downhill after that. I've been voted as Professor of the Year by the students. I've won outstanding teaching awards. I filled most of my classes. I have long wait lists for most of my classes. But the faculty have just been vicious toward me. I was in my third year there when one of the faculty members found that I was a conservative. I was physically assaulted by a faculty member on campus. I've been threatened on a couple of different occasions, et cetera. So it's been quite a ride. A lot of people ask me why did you stay? But I feel like I've been, fighting the fight, from ground zero the best I can. I'm in the process of being fired, and I'm also in the process of suing the school, and that's kind of where I am.
Wow. Well, I'm very glad that you decided to not sit still for it, and that you're suing them. And I don't know what kind of an endowment the American University, Washington, D.C. has, but you should probably sue for like $3 billion just to make it a nice round number. And in D.C., is it in D.C., the district?
Yes. I work at the business school, Kogod School of Business.
But where you're suing in D.C., right?
Well, it'll be a federal case, I'm certain. So I'm working with another. I'm an attorney myself, but I'm working with a law firm who specializes in these sorts of matters. They're a wonderful law firm, Allen Harris. I'm going to throw them up, kind of plug them if you don't mind, really quick, because anybody out there who is going through the same thing that I've gone through, if you contact them, Allen Harris, they are wonderful people who are doing a great job.
That is great. So you revealed yourself. How dare you to be conservative? If you had been like transgender bestialists, then you might become the vice chairman of the board or something, because they would love you. If you were a child sex trafficker, they'd say that that's good for your nutrition. And the American University. Wow, and you were actually assaulted at least once by another professor because the fanatics on the left that run the place are indoctrinating and brainwashing the next generation of Jewish mansion burners. And what are they? Are you not anti-Semitic enough? Are you not pro-Hamas enough? You're not pro-MS-13 enough? What could you do to find yourself in their good graces once again? You'd have to be on the side of Luigi Mangione and Hamas, right? And then
Right.
you'd be in good with the gang at the American University.
Exactly. And basically, the vast majority of left-wing professors just sort of tout that ideology. They push that ideology, and I don't really do that. I teach using a Socratic method, and I give both sides of the story. For many, many years, I've told students, look, you're going to hear the left and the right, both sides of these issues, and we're going to articulate these issues. We're going to talk about the pros and cons, and then it's up to you to decide what you're on. But the groupthink that goes on these college campuses today is almost beyond belief. It's like a North Korean indoctrination camp, this place. It really is. And these students are scared to death. I have conservative students come into my office, and they look both ways before they come in, so that, nobody sees them talking to me. And they tell me their stories that they are downgraded. They get their grades slashed because if they give any kind of a conservative point of view. Colleges have largely become a scam. I hate to say that, but it's just true. I've written a few articles on this, and it's way worse than it was even 5 years ago. People who haven't been on a college campus in a few years simply don't know the depth and breadth of what's going on in these places. Freedom of speech is a distant memory. Academic integrity has been thrown out the window in the name of equity. It's just it's almost hard to believe unless you see it for yourself.
Well, the left is really, I've been trying to draw attention to what I believe to be the fact that again, I grew up in a Democrat Party household. My dear departed mother, lifelong Democrat, as RFK Jr. said, my mother would not recognize the Democrat Party of today either.
Right.
And what they've done is they've left liberalism behind and they've adopted leftism. And
exactly.
You've talked about the indoctrination, North Korean-style indoctrination on the campus at the American University in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. And it is clearly evident everywhere you look that these people are the left, and they are the international left. They're even beyond the Davos left. They're effectively commies, and it's a hate group. The new bumper sticker, Jay, is even my dog hates Elon Musk, and they're
right.
firebombing the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania because he's not pro-Hamas enough, and they're firebombing Tesla dealerships and attacking and vandalizing Tesla automobiles, threatening to murder and celebrating the idea. Young women, I've played the audio many times on the sidewalks of New York and Washington. What do you think about Elon Musk? Well, I hope that his Luigi Mangione is out there, that his assassin is out there. They're raising a generation of ignorant, bloodthirsty ghouls who slaughter their children, harvest their organs, give out awards for that, and now they're pro-Hamas, anti-Semites, and you can't just say you're anti-Israel. There's only one Jewish state, and they're anti-Israel, therefore they're anti-Semites, and they're pro-Hamas, which is a genocidal death cult of a radical Islamic terrorist organization being funded through Iran being funded by Barack Obama and Joe Biden and the Democrats. And Iran plans the end of Western civilization. And you got your boy Mahmoud Khalil, right, at Columbia University, who belongs to an organization that is dedicated to the total destruction of the State of Israel and to Western civilization because he's a jihadi. And the Democrats are, again, laying down in front of trains to try to protect Luigi Mangione by morning and then Mahmoud Khalil in the afternoon. So, and they love assassinations. They applauded the efforts against President Trump's life. The Democrat Party, the party I like to remind people of, the Confederate States of America and the KKK and Jim Crow and all the other, they really haven't changed at all. But they own the propaganda landscape. And honestly, Jay, they've taken over the media, secured information dominance, which then extends to the college campuses and really high school curricula and even grammar school as well, with their gender queer books for kids in first grade that show things that you don't even want to describe here at this hour of the day. Pretty amazing stuff. So where do we go from here, Jay?
Well, and, it's funny. I've been at the beginning of each of my classes, I try to push the students to look at information on both sides of the ideological spectrum. So I tell them, I poll them and kind of find out where they're getting their news, and it's always from Washington Post, New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, the usual list.
Right.
And I tell them, look, if you're only getting your news from these sources, those 7 or 8, 9, 10 sources, then you don't know what's going on in the world. You simply don't. So instead of being purposefully obtuse, why don't you just take a look at some of these other sites? I actually tell them, listen to the Chris Plante Show, 105.9 in Washington, 9 to 12. And you'll be amazed at what you don't know, because the statement that you make often is, one of the greatest powers that the media has is the power to ignore. I know I probably butchered that.
No, that's very good. That's right.
And
I usually say the most insidious power the media has is the power to ignore. But
that's the word I couldn't come up with. Yeah,
and boy, they ignore a lot.
Oh my goodness, yes. And so, I teach business law and business ethics, and I was listening to your show coming into work a couple of weeks ago, I guess, and you referenced a poll about that talked about people who are just left of center. I think 55% of them believe that it was okay to kill Donald Trump, and 48% were to kill Elon Musk or something.
That's
like
right.
That.
That's correct.
And I asked the class. I asked the class, what your thoughts are here. The class that I was teaching, a higher percentage than that, I believe, thought that it was okay to do this, or that there was some value in it to kill these people. Yeah. It's just almost hard to believe. What's going on in the minds of these kids and what's happening. It's way deeper than most people can understand. And why anyone would send their kids to these places is beyond me. Even if you're on the far left, all you're getting is the same. It's an echo chamber. So I don't know what for $85,000 or $90,000 a year, which is what American University costs now.
Wow.
I don't know I'm not sure what you think you're getting for your money.
I would say it's kind of a problem. Well, your kid hates Jews, hates the United States of America, pro-jihad, pro-murder, pro-political assassination, murder of a CEO walking down a sidewalk in Manhattan. A father of two, a husband who has worked hard his whole life and become successful. And, we've got, who was it, the circle jerks yesterday I was talking about at Coachella out in California, crying out that he wants to see an army of Luigi Mangionis. So they want to murder at a stadium full of CEOs and successful business leaders because they're effectively a communist death cult.
They are. They absolutely are. There's no question about that. That's where we are, and it's a sad commentary on where America is today. But and where it goes from here, I don't know. But I guess only time will tell.
Yeah, well, that's always true, isn't it? It's one thing's for sure: the future remains to be seen.
Exactly.
Well, Jay, I'm really glad that you called in. I'm sorry that you're being fired by the American University for not conforming to their North Korean indoctrination program. And I'm going to keep my eyes open for the American University and their behavior. And I would appreciate it if, Jay, when you felt it was appropriate, you call back in and update us.
Oh, I certainly would. I appreciate it. And I have a feeling I'm going to be changing careers here soon. And I'm basically just writing more. I've written in the past, but I'm going to pick up the pace on that. And I just whatever I do, I have to do sort of for the cause, if you will. Yeah. For our side of the aisle. I have a Substack. Is that something I can give?
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah.
And it gives my last name. Is that a problem?
No, not at all. Okay. It was not a problem with you, certainly.
No, it's not a problem with me, no.
Yeah.
My name's Jay Pope, Jaypope, and I have my Substack is Jaypope, jpope.substack.com. and I'll be putting articles on there at a faster pace now. Once these people finally pull the plug on me,
free you up, give you lots of free time.
Yes, exactly right. And I'm actually I think I'm about a year older, almost exactly a year older than you. That's funny because you talk about you grew up in a Democrat household and things like that. So our lives seem to be kind of lined up in that regard as far as I go. So anyway, I appreciate your time. I really do.
Well, thank you, Jay, for checking in. And I would love to get an update from you when you deem that to be appropriate. Great stuff.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, Jay. And I've got wait till you hear this MSNBC and Hillary Clinton that, they're going to come and arrest you because they arrested an MS-13 gang member and deported an illegal alien gang member that beat his baby mama and may have been a human trafficker. And the Democrat Party, they want to bring him home to their daughters and run him for public office because they're not on the side of civilization anymore. Ah, yes. Well, we have a lot to get to, and we have a lot of great callers we want to get to, as is often the case. But right now, let's go to Karen, calling from the funny state of Massachusetts, Gesundheit. Karen, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris Plante, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I've listened to you for over 10 years. And don't hold it against me that I'm from Massachusetts. There are a ton of Trump supporters here. So actually, I'm calling about Luigi. I just learned something from you, but I wanted to say quickly, I don't know if Van Hollandaise sauce is down in El Salvador. Do you think that gangbanger has something on these politicians? Do you think they asked him to do a dirty deed? I'm thinking that because he's just really going out of his way to free this creep.
He's a Maryland man. He's the father of the year for the Democrat Party in Maryland.
He's a sperm donor.
That's about right.
That's all he is.
Yeah.
So anywho, I was calling about Luigi. I just heard you say that he was in porn. And I'm like, oh, wow. So what happened, if he did hurt his back and he couldn't perform anymore, that was cutting into his profits, and it drove him crazy. So I don't know. That's the first I was hearing of it, and I'm like, oh, my God.
That could be his defense. His poor family. Yeah, it's a nice family, too, from Maryland. A nice family. Karen, I'm glad you finally got through. I'm glad that we finally spoke. I feel much richer for the experience.